All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I am Tanvi Taneja. The headlines. 2+2 dialogue between India and the US to be held in New Delhi this morning. Enhancing trade, ways to counter terrorism, and India's concerns on H-1B visa program to figure in the dialogue. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana to be an open-ended scheme with more incentives. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says depreciation of the rupee against the dollar is due to global factors. President Ramnath Kovind stresses on enhancing trade and investment between India and Bulgaria. In Afghanistan, at least 20 people, including 2 journalists, killed in twin blasts at a Kabul club. And in US Open, Madison Keys of US and Kei Nishikori of Japan enter the semi-finals. "2+2 dialogue between India and the United States takes place in New Delhi today. US Secretary of State Michael Pompeo and US Secretary James Mattis have already arrived in New Delhi to attend the meeting. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will hold the dialogue with Mr. Pompeo and Mr. Mattis in New Delhi today. Issues like enhancing trade, ways to counter terrorism, and India's concerns over the Trump administration's decision to make changes in the H-1B visa program are expected to figure in the dialogue. Mr. Pompeo and Mr. Mattis will also jointly call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. US Defense Secretary Jim Mattis has said that the Trump administration recognizes the opportunity to grow the US-India strategic partnership, deepen security relationship, and ensure a more safe, secure, prosperous, and free Indo-Pacific region. He was talking to accompanying media persons before landing in New Delhi. Mr. Mattis said that he and Pompeo will also meet National Security Advisor Ajit Doval to reinforce their appreciation for India's role in regional and global security framework. The government has decided to make the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana PMJDY an open-ended scheme and added more incentives to encourage people to open bank accounts. Briefing reporters after Union Cabinet meeting in New Delhi last evening, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said the overdraft facility has been doubled from 5,000 to 10,000 rupees under the Yojana. He said the upper age limit for availing the overdraft facility under it has also been raised to 65. Mr. Jaitley added the accidental insurance cover for the new RuPay card holders has also been doubled from 1 to 2 lakh rupees.
इसमें 32.41 करोड़ अकाउंट्स खोले गए हैं। ये वर्ल्ड बैंक ने और सब इंस्टीट्यूशंस ने इसको दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन स्कीम माना है। पूरे विश्व में इस 4 साल में 51.5 करोड़ अकाउंट खुले, जिसमें से 32.41 केवल जनधन का कंपोनेंट है।
That was the Finance Minister on the Jan Dhan Yojana. The Union Cabinet has approved the establishment and operationalization of permanent campuses of 7 new Indian Institutes of Management, IIMs, at Amritsar, Bodh Gaya, Nagpur, Sambalpur, Sirmaur, Visakhapatnam and Jammu. It will be built at a cost of over 3,775 crore rupees, out of which over 2,804 crore rupees will be spent on the construction of permanent campuses of these institutes, which will be completed by June 2021. The IIMs will provide education to students to enable them to become professional managers. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has attributed the fall in rupee to global factors and said there is no need for panic or knee-jerk reaction. He said the Reserve Bank of India is doing whatever is necessary to deal with the situation. Replying to a media query in New Delhi yesterday, Mr. Jaitley said the dollar has strengthened against almost every other currency and added that the rupee has consistently either strengthened or remained in a range. Elaborating his point on global factors affecting the rupee, the Finance Minister said India is a net buyer of crude oil and spike in prices affects the country. He also said eventually the inherent strength of the Indian economy has to play a very important role and expressed confidence that fluctuation in the currency market will come down. The finance minister hit out at Congress President Rahul Gandhi for criticizing the government on Rafale aircraft deal. He rejected the charges that the NDA government used its influence to benefit a private player, asserting that there was no scope of role of any private party in the entire transaction. Replying to a media query in New Delhi yesterday, Mr. Jaitley described Mr. Gandhi as what he called an ill-informed gentleman and said it is unfortunate that the entire party is following him in ignorance. Mr. Jaitley said,
वो जो एयरक्राफ्ट की कीमत है जो फाइनल तय हुई है वो 9% सस्ती है और अगर वेपनाइज टू वेपनाइज कर लें तो आज की 20% सस्ती है। इसका कोई जवाब नहीं। दूसरा, इस पूरे ट्रांजैक्शन में कोई प्राइवेट पार्टी का गुंजाइश ही नहीं है। 36 जहाज पूरे बने हुए स्थिति में वहां उड़ के आएंगे।
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. President Ram Nath Kovind has said that immense possibilities of collaboration exist between India and Bulgaria in the fields of artificial intelligence, data analytics, robotics and nanotechnology. Speaking at the India-Bulgaria Business Forum last night, the President said that bilateral trade between the two countries, which is currently only $300 million a year, has a vast potential to expand. On the second day of his 3-day visit to Bulgaria, President Kovind made a strong plea to enhance trade and investment ties between the two countries in areas like pharmaceuticals, agriculture, food processing, auto components, defense production and infrastructure sectors. During the visit of President Kovind, India and Bulgaria signed 4 MOUs yesterday in the fields of civil nuclear cooperation, investment, tourism and establishment of Hindi chair at the Sofia University. More from our special correspondent.
After completing his 3-day visit to Bulgaria, President Ramnath Kovind will leave for Czech Republic this afternoon on the last leg of his 3-nation tour. A significant outcome of President Kovind's visit to Bulgaria has been that both the countries have agreed to substantially upgrade their economic partnership in line with the depth of their robust political relations. Indeed, as a result of President Kovind's visit, the possibilities of cooperation and utilization of synergy between the two countries have been identified and progress made to realize them in the times ahead. Rajesh Jha, AIR News, Sofia, Bulgaria.
Mission Indradhanush focuses on vaccinating pregnant women and children below 2 years and between 5 and 6 years. In Karnataka, the second round of the vaccination campaign was held from 13th to 22nd of last month. The Health Department will resume the third campaign from 10th to 19th of September. Here is a ground report from our Bengaluru correspondent.
Mission Indradhanush has deepened the meaning of immunization in the health department. Reaching out to the vulnerable, the excluded has been the hallmark of the program. Woman from Hornikeri village, Nikita Raju, shares her views on the benefits of the program.
मुझे इंद्रधनुष कार्यक्रम में मुझे धनुर्वात इंजेक्शन एएनएम दीदी ने दिया है और इंजेक्शन का महत्व भी बताया है। ये इंजेक्शन से माँ और बच्चों को धनुर्वात से बचाता है। इस कार्यक्रम से गर्भवती महिलाओं को और बच्चों को बहुत लाभदायक है।
Mission Indradhanush is a campaign that has launched a decisive attack against 7 diseases including polio, TB and influenza. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
In Assam, specialized divers from the Indian Navy, along with the Army, NDRF and SDRF, have begun the rescue operation this morning of the boat capsized tragedy in the Brahmaputra River in Guwahati. The boat was going to North Guwahati from Guwahati when it collided with a pole yesterday and overturned. So far, 20 persons were rescued or swam to safety. The exact number of the passengers that were travelling in the boat is yet to be ascertained. Guwahati Police Commissioner said that 2 bodies have been recovered. In Uttar Pradesh, flood condition continues to remain critical in many districts, affecting more than 5 lakh people of the state. Torrential rains has claimed 18 lives in the last 24 hours. Chief Minister and other members of his cabinet will visit the flood-affected areas today. Our correspondent has more.
Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will conduct aerial survey of flood-affected areas in Gonda, Basti, Barabanki and Sitapur districts, where Sharda and Ghagra rivers are wreaking havoc and hundreds of villages are reeling under the flood fury. Meanwhile, heavy rain lashed many parts of the state, including the state capital Lucknow, throwing normal life out of gear and affecting traffic badly. Relief Commissioner Sanjay Kumar told AIR that 3 persons died when a boat carrying them capsized in Saryu River in Ayodhya. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Afghanistan, at least 20 people, including 2 journalists, were killed and 70 injured in twin blasts at a Kabul wrestling club yesterday. Police spokesman H. Stanikzai said it is the latest deadly assault on the capital. An hour later, a suicide bomber blew himself up inside the sports hall. A car packed with explosives detonated as journalists and security forces gathered at the scene. At least 4 journalists were wounded in the second explosion. The Interior Ministry and Afghan security source confirmed the casualty toll. The attack comes a day after the Taliban announced the death of Jalaluddin Haqqani, who founded the militant group, which is widely suspected of being behind some of the attacks in Kabul. The Islamic State group claimed responsibility for the twin explosions. In the US Open, Kei Nishikori of Japan in men's singles and Madison Keys of US in women's singles have entered the semi-finals today. Nishikori defeated 7-seeded Croatian Marin Cilic in a 5-set match, 2-6, 6-4, 7-6, 4-6, 6-4. Nishikori will play the winner of the 4th quarter-final currently underway between Serbia's Novak Djokovic and Australian John Millman. In women's singles, American Madison Keys defeated Carla Suarez Navarro 6-4, 6-3. The 14th-seed Keys will take on 19th-seed Naomi Osaka of Japan in the semi-final. 20-year-old Osaka defeated unseeded Ukrainian Lesia Surenko 6-1, 6-1 to become the first Japanese woman to reach a Grand Slam semi-final in more than 2 decades. Spain's Rafael Nadal and Argentina's Juan Martín del Potro in men's singles and American Serena Williams and Latvian Anastasia Sevastova in women's singles have already entered the semi-finals. And now for an overview of today's newspapers, it's over to Abhishek Kumar.
Thank you, Tanvi. The setting of stage for the maiden Indo-US 2+2 dialogue and the Supreme Court verdict on validity of Section 377 expected today are some of the major front-page stories highlighted by newspapers. Pak must do more on terror in region, says US. Headlines the Hindustan Times as US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan on his way to New Delhi. The Hindustan Times adds, Cabinet takes up ComCASA on eve of 2+2 dialogue, stating that ComCASA would seek a legal framework for the transfer of highly sensitive communication security equipment from the US to India. Under the caption, RBI doing what is needed, the Indian Express writes, Rupee hits new low. Jaitley calls for calm. Reason Global. The Tribune reports, government rules out Joint Parliamentary Committee on Rafale. The Pioneer quotes Finance Minister Arun Jaitley as saying Rahul Gandhi's Rafale claims are ignoramus slide, adding no private firm involved in government-to-government deal. The Maharashtra government filling an affidavit in the Supreme Court in the backdrop of the house arrest of the 5 activists also gets wide coverage. Activists held not for dissent. Proof of their Maoist link. Corpse to SC. Headlines the Indian Express. The Times of India reports, SC said to give ruling on plea to legalize gay sex today, has hinted at giving relief from Section 377. The paper further writes, rape survivors must get 4 lakh rupees at least. Supreme Court. The Tribune, quoting from an international study, highlights that the plastic trays used by passengers at the airports for putting their hand luggage carries the highest levels of viruses, even more than toilets. And finally, was Federer rogered by global warming? Speculates the Times of India as the 5-time US Open winner lost to a player outside the top 50 of the tournament. The paper adds, increasing night temperatures a growing problem, as 2018 is on track to be the 4th warmest year to the date. And with that, it's back to you, Tanvi.
Thank you, Abhishek, for a look at today's newspapers. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. 2+2 dialogue between India and the US to be held in New Delhi this morning. Enhancing trade, ways to counter terrorism, and India's concerns on H-1B visa program to figure in the dialogue. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana to be an open-ended scheme with more incentives. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says depreciation of the rupee against the dollar is due to global factors. President Ramnath Kovind stresses on enhancing trade and investment between India and Bulgaria. In Afghanistan, at least 20 people, including 2 journalists, killed in twin blasts at a Kabul club. And in US Open, Madison Keys of US and Kei Nishikori of Japan enter the semi-finals. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.